Thank you. Mr. Cassity, you recognize your 5 minutes.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chair Webster, Ranking Member Titus, and members of the subcommittee for the opportunity to testify this morning on the current state of America's freight and passenger rail network. As Deputy National Safety and Legislative Director and Chief Safety Officer for SMART TD, I speak on behalf of the men and women of the rail industry who are committed to ensuring a safe, efficient, and robust transportation system for our nation. I have had no greater pleasure in my career than the opportunity to represent the single most significant factor of what sets our railroad industry apart from the rest of the world, and that is the American railroad worker. It is because of their efforts and their dedication that the rail industry has been able to achieve so many improvements over the last couple of decades, but there's still much work that needs to be done. Currently, we're enjoying some of the most robust funding in Amtrak's history, so it should be no surprise that 2024 was a record year for ridership. Not only were more people able to enjoy the benefits of rail travel, but rural communities were better equipped to directly connect their citizens with the rest of the country. This means better access to work and medical care with fewer cars on roads and highways. But like every other passenger rail service on the planet, Amtrak cannot survive on farebox revenue alone, which is why adequate funding is so important. But it's not just funding that is needed on Amtrak, it's legislative and regulatory support to protect the workers and riders from violent assailants. Almost daily, a train, platform, or customer service worker is threatened verbally or physically while simply trying to perform the functions of their job. It is not uncommon for conductors to be cussed out, spit on, punched, or worse. But even more troubling is the limitations on responding law enforcement officers to do anything about it. Unlike aviation, rail lacks sufficient statutes to handle bad actors accordingly. More often than not, an assaulter, once detained, is forced to disembark the train in which the assault took place. But because arrest isn't permissible, they are permitted to just wait on the platform and then board the next train, expanding the threat and not limiting it. Our members' main priority when they are at work is to perform the functions of their jobs to the best of their ability, day in and day out. They want to get to where they're going safely, without incident, and then back home to their families the same way they went to work. They take pride in safely moving passengers and freight, and they are proud to see a job well done. I think this is why there is so much internal conflict in the rail space today, because workers are being asked to do more with less, resulting in diminished service and deficient safety processes and protocols. Training in the freight rail side of the industry has become abysmal in the majority of Class I railroads. While some positive changes have been made on at least one major railroad, the reality is that carriers are more focused on the shortest path rather than the most efficient one. Serious and concerning reductions in training timelines are now present, and they are having an adverse impact, not just on safety, but also on the attraction and retention of the railroad workforce. Trains are growing longer, heavier, and more burdensome on neighborhoods and communities. Conductors and engineers are being asked to do more with less. The onboard technologies are not wholly reliable, while others like wayside detectors are still seemingly flipped on like a switch, on and off like a switch. Train accident and incident frequency continues to creep up despite fewer trains on the system, an indicator of the dangers of long trains, and yard accidents are becoming a serious concern. The answer does not lie simply in new technology and waivers from critical safe rulemaking and/or regulations. It lies in a steadfast commitment to achieving the safest course. Technology is not safer simply because it is technological. It is people that make the difference. President Trump acknowledged this truth in his support of the International Longshoremen's Association fight against automation. Labor should not be viewed as adversaries. We are the key to success. After all, it is the two-person crew that has brought about the safest and richest era ever in railroading history. It is the carmen and electricians best qualified to perform the required inspections that produce the best results. And it is all of the craft workers that drive the truest pursuit to achieving the safest course. To close, I want to align my comment with the President's recent statements about the need for a transparent government. The only way to gather, analyze, and interpret data, or to introduce new innovations is to do so transparently and inclusively, with all stakeholders having a seat at the table and an equal voice in the process. After all, it is the workers that are best suited to speak to the truths and realities of the impacts or potential effects of the consistencies of the data and the technology desired and being developed. Innovation should absolutely be considered, but not for the sake of safety. There is no one better suited to drive every conversation and every effort towards safety than labor. Our mission is simple, and it does not waver. Safety will always lead the way. We stand ready to work with you and your offices to get us there. Again, I thank you for the opportunity.